Now, Jim's is not just a name, it is a brand. So, what do you think made you to be in this position now?
The biggest thing about me, as I said, I do many things badly. I have very poor people skills. I'm not a great manager. I'm not good with accounts. But I've always had a passion for service, and it's not a logical thing. It's not saying if you give great service, then you'll get more money. It's service matters to me as such,
Of course.
beyond any sensible. I've made a lot of decisions in my life which are actually foolish from a commercial point of view, but I did it because I believed in service. And in the end, they're the ones that always work out the best decisions.
Mm-hmm.
But so when I was mowing lawns, I always wanted to do better. How can I do it better? How can I improve it? How can I make my customers more and more delighted?
Yeah.
And then I started building up lawn mowing rounds, and that was accidental at first. I just had to, I wanted to finish my PhD actually, so I wanted to sell some of my clients off.
Yeah.
And as I was selling a bunch of clients to sort of left myself free, I kept on picking up more and more clients all the time.
Yeah.
Because of this service thing. And then I sold another business, then another one, and then I figured out I'd make more money from selling lawn mowing rounds than I did from, that I was actually making from mowing lawns myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to launch into the business of building up and selling lawn mowing rounds, not as a franchise, just as an independent business. And then I came across a really major problem in that I was very bad at selling. I just don't have the temperament for it. I've actually, earlier on, I tried selling encyclopedias door to door, and I was terrible at it. So I couldn't sell.
Yeah.
And then I tried all kinds of systems. I even had a guy who used to sell my lawn mowing grounds for me, who he was in the same room as me, selling a lawn mowing ground to a potential client, and I pretended to do something else on the computer in the corner. You know, it was stupid, but I just couldn't sell. And then I learned how to sell, and I always felt this particular lesson that I learned in a single second was the most important lesson of my whole business career.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened because I went to somebody I knew from my church who was in the advertising business.
Okay.
And he had a very successful business, and I was very overawed by him because he was really successful, and I was just a mowing contractor in those days. And then, after a short break, he took me into his office, and for half an hour he sat me down talking about talking about the advertising business.
Okay.
And how to advertise, and where to advertise, and what sort of message to give, and all this kind of stuff that he knew from his very successful career. And at the end of that conversation, he said to me, "Jim, you really don't need an advertising agent. You need to go out and do what I've just described to you." Now, I knew as I walked out of his office that if I ever wanted an advertising agent, I would go straight back to him. And as I walked out, I wondered, why do I think that? This guy has told me nothing about his business, nothing about his charges, nothing about his clients. I knew nothing at all about what he did, and yet I knew that if I ever needed an advertising agent, I'd go straight back to him. And in fact, years later, when I wanted to do TV advertising, I did exactly that. I wasn't interested in the competitors. I just wanted to use him. And as I was walking back to the car, which was parked some streets away, I was thinking about this, and I thought, what's this guy done? And I realized what he had done is had no other interest but my success and the success of my business. And by doing that, he completely sold me on his business. So I can just remember having this idea. I said, what if I applied the same system to selling lawn mowing rounds? So the next time somebody asked me about buying a lawn mowing business, instead of talking about my business, I said, tell me, do you know what the cut of a lawn mowing round means? A cut is each job done once. So you got 50 clients worth $40 each, $2,000 cut. And that's how they were all priced. They're always priced in terms of cut. But most people didn't know what that meant, so I explained that to him. And then I started talking about the business. And then as he came to me, I talked more about how to be successful, how to advertise, how to find work, how to look after client, what kind of equipment, everything that I knew, because I was I knew what to do.
Yeah.
And at the end of the conversation, I would just simply say, I've got some customers in your area. This is them. That's it. That was my sales pitch. And a short while later, somebody actually rang me. He said, I've been offered a business in my area, and I want you to tell me which is the best business, that one or yours. Now, he was asking me for advice on whether to buy my business. So I was trying to give help so he could buy my business, but it had to be genuine.
Yeah.
So I just simply asked him, I said, what sort of business are you looking at? How many customers has he got? The other one. What's the cut value? How far apart are they? How long has he had it for? Why is he leaving? What's he going to do? Just obvious questions that you'd know how to do. And at the end of it, I said, that's a better business. Buy that one.
Yeah.
I got asked the same question 3 times in succession. 3 different people asked me for my advice as to which business to buy. In each case, I told them to buy the other business. I gave the sale away. And in each of these cases, they all bought from me. And from that time that I started that approach, I never had any problem selling lawn mowing grounds ever again. And everybody who bought from me, I would give them fantastic service, advice, help. After they started, I used to invite them for free lunches, all kinds of things. That was great, and I was doing okay. And then a competitor came in, VIP, which was already well established, interstate business, 250 franchisees. I had nothing, a little mowing contracting business. I tried to join up with them and they wouldn't even have me to help them out. So I decided to compete with them. And I went and rated their show at the Franchising Expo and sort of asked all their questions and stuff, and then they figured out who I was and chucked me off the stand. But
Yeah.
I felt there was some value in what they did. But I reckoned that I could make a system that would be better for the franchisee,
Okay.
that would give real benefit to the franchisee. And so I launched that after 9 months arguing with lawyers because they wanted to make the contract really give me power, and I wanted my franchisees to have power. I wanted to give them rights that nobody else would give them. And I launched, and somebody asked me at that time, they said, if it really works out, how many franchisees do you expect you might have if it's successful? I think if it really works out, I said, one day I could have 100. As I said, we've got something like 3,700 now. It's just floored me. But the basic idea behind it was exactly the same as when I looked after clients. With clients, my whole aim was to turn my customers into raving fans.
Yeah.
I wanted them to be amazed and delighted with everything I did. I took the same approach to my franchisees. I wasn't so much concerned about getting huge numbers. I just wanted every franchisee to be successful. I wanted everyone to be saying, this is fantastic. And I used to sell my lawn mowing grounds, my lawn mowing franchises the way I sold rounds. Everybody who inquired, I put their name. All my franchisees had their name and their phone number, and I give a list to anybody who wanted to buy a business. And so they'd ring my guys and ask them. And they'd ring them and they said, we're looked after well. Jim's great. Gives us great service. It's a very fair system. There's lots of work. He always gives us advice. Meetings are fantastic. So my franchisees sold the franchises for me.
Yeah.
And that's the whole principle.